Shana Tova.
Oh, Shana Tova.
It's so nice to see you all. So nice. And we have even more people here today. So welcome. What we say on Yom Kippur, you can say Shana Tova, of course. We also say Gemar Chatima Tova. Gemar Chatima Tova. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, what it means. You can also shorten it and just say Gemar Tov. Gemar Tov is an easy way to do it. So welcome, everybody. And we're so happy to see so many of you back. How many remember to bring their shofar today? Oh, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Great. Okay, so we have some shofarot here today. Not yet, though, right? At the end, we're going to use the shofar. Amazing. Hey, you want to start us off with your nigun?
Yes. So this is very, very important. Okay, so this is the nigun. What is a nigun? Does everybody know what a nigun is?
I don't know.
What is a nigun? Anybody? Put a hand up. Who knows what a nigun is?
Maybe they could hum.
They need to know what a nigun is. Oh, you know what a nigun is? Somebody? Yes. What's a nigun? I couldn't hear.
Just a little louder.
No?
Tell them, Cantor.
I will tell them. A nigun is a song that has no words. You just hum the melody, and because it's the Jewish world, the melody, the way we do it is yai dai dai. It's the most Jewish word we have is yai dai dai. Maybe even more than oy vey. So we have this beautiful, beautiful nigun that we save it. We don't want to do it any other time of year because we save it for the high holidays. So we're going to do it right now, and I would love for you all to learn it if you don't know it, and sing it if you do, and you're going to join with me. Here we go. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. I think do we need to practice it? Do we need to?
No, I think they're getting it already.
I think they're getting it already.
I think their parents are helping too.
From the top. Here we go. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, thank you, everybody. That gives it a good spirit of high holidays going. All right, I'm ready.
Now that we're all in a mood, because that tune, when you hear it, especially I'm sure your parents, when you hear that tune, it brings you back. It's the tune of Yom Kippur. Before we start, I forgot to introduce everybody, because I assumed everyone was here last time, but of course we have many new faces. So first of all, this is Cantor Jeremy Burko, Chazan Jeremy. Chazan is Hebrew for cantor, so you can call him Cantor Jeremy or Chazan Jeremy.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Really?
Especially today.
Exactly. You think I pick my jokes?
And we have our principal, Julie Surmer Beard, and we have our Torah reader who is sitting behind because she's super tired because she read all the Torah this morning, Jordan Vernon. And we have my husband, Mark Vernon. He's the president of the congregation, and I am Cindy, and I am the gabbai. So gabbai is not a rabbi. The gabbai is somebody who helps run the service. So Mark is the super duper gabbai, and I'm his sort of assistant. And last week when he had COVID and couldn't be here, he was really sad about it, but he's here now. So he's going to be the one that takes out the Torah and does all of those ritual things, and that's a job in the synagogue. It's not a paid job, it's a volunteer job, but it's a very important job because without someone to run the services and make sure that everything goes smoothly, then, Cantor and our rabbi are sort of lost a little bit without that. So we're really glad to have him back, and I'm going to turn things over to Julie.
All right, so we are going to open our Machzor, our special Siddur, our special prayer book that we use on the high holidays, to page 38. Page 38. All right. Yom Kippur is a day that allows us to make peace with God for the things we have done that missed the mark. Yom Kippur does not automatically make peace for us with other people. We ourselves must ask forgiveness of all the people we have hurt by missing the mark. And let's all read together. Ruler of the universe, today I forgive everyone who has hurt me and everyone who has done me wrong. I forgive them whether they did it on purpose or did it by accident. I forgive them whether they hurt me by what they said or by what they did. Today I forgive them. Just as I forgave everyone who did me wrong, I ask all those I have hurt to forgive me. I am sorry for those things I did on purpose, and I am sorry for those things I did by accident. I ask to be forgiven for the things I said and the things I did that hurt others. Eternal, please wash away the things I have done that missed the mark. Help me to make sure that I never repeat any of these wrong things again. And now we're going to turn to page 43, and we're going to hear a tune that is probably the most recognizable, one of the most recognizable tunes for Yom Kippur. And Cantor Jr. will lead us.
We're going to do this for reals.
For real.
Yeah,
So
this is the big one.
This is sort of a special arrangement that we've done here, because normally Kol Nidre, the part that Cantor Jeremy is about to sing, is done in the night before. It was done last night in the synagogue, but because we're getting together for our family service today, we're bringing it together. From my understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong, Kol Nidre is, well, I do know this already, Yom Kippur is one long day, and so the service beginning the night before, continuing it now, is totally appropriate, because it's the time for us to look back and reflect before we begin our service for Yom Kippur.
Kol nidrei v'sarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinuyei v'kinusei Usheot din darna udeish tabana udeacharimna udeacharimna Sara al nafshatana miyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim ושבועתם לשבועות.
Oh, that was for reals.
Ah. This is what we call.
Look at the real thing.
They got the real thing, some real chazanut.
And to help us understand what it was that we just heard, we're going to read in English all together at the bottom of page 43. May we keep all the promises we will make and really mean all the words we will speak between this Yom Kippur and next Yom Kippur. But if in the next year we speak words carelessly or make promises we cannot keep, no matter how hard we try, please forgive us.
We're going to continue on page 49 with the formal call to prayer of the Baruch Hu. So if everyone could please stand up. We stand when we say the Baruch Hu. We bow our heads and bend our knees a little bit as we say its words.
We're going to get to use our niggin again.
Yes, that's right. There we go. It is just what people do when a king or a queen enters a room. The Baruch Hu is known as the call to worship. It marks the place in the service where our warm-up prayers are finished and the real praying begins. So if you remember, Cantor Jeremy is going to sing the first line, and we are going to respond with the second line.
But they can sing the niggin.
But they can sing the. But
Yeah,
you can
here
sing.
we go. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Very good, they know it.
Really good. Okay, have a seat, please. And we're on page 51 with the Shema. The Shema is the most important of all Jewish prayers. It expresses our belief that one God created the heavens and the earth and is the parent of all people. So if you remember from last time when we talked about the Shema, we're going to cover our eyes so that we are focused on the Shema. And the second line, do you want to tell them?
Well, sure. So before we do the Shema, I know, they know the melody for Shema. I know they know that. I'm gonna ask, can we do this just for today? Do the Shema to our niggin too, because that second line is really, really important. This, today, is the only day of the whole year when we do that second line out loud. Normally, we do it very, very quiet. But today, it's as big as it gets. So we need that melody. Here we go.
Yep, so we put our hands over our eyes for the
Our
Shema.
hands over our eyes. Here we go. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ooh, they're good. I like that.
And after the Shema, we read the Ve'ahavta, which is not in your machzor, but Cantor Jeremy is going to do it for us. The Ve'ahavta is the piece that is coming straight from the Torah, and it sounds, when Cantor Jeremy does it, it's going to sound like somebody chanting Torah, because it's used in, the trope is used in this as well.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
All right, and we continue with Micha Mocha on page 52. Once we were slaves in Egypt, and God took us out and set us free. On the way out of Egypt, the families of Israel sang a song, the Micha Mocha. By remembering that we were once slaves and knowing that now we are free, we are better able to understand the mitzvot. Let's read together. If we remember the bitterness of slavery, we can begin to help everyone become free. All right, you may remember this from Rosh Hashanah. We need your help. Let's get a beat going.
Very tricky.
It's not easy. Let's try it. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha netar b'kodesh, Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha netar b'kodesh. Yeah, you got it. Keep it going. Nora tehilot osef elef, Nora tehilot osef elef, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Shir HaChadasha shimchu geulim, L'shimcha sfat hayam, Yachad kulam hodu, Ve'imlechu ve'yameru, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Back to Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha netar b'kodesh, Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha netar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef elef, Nora tehilot osef elef, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Right.
You get better every time, right?
That's
so if I
right.
keep practicing, I'll get better.
Exactly.
So we don't have to be perfect.
No, we don't
No,
have to be
God
perfect.
doesn't
We
need
just
us to
have
be
to
perfect.
try.
Okay.
That's it. We just got to do our best.
Our
That's
heart's in the
all-
right place for good.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so we are now going to move ahead to the Amidah. And take it away, Cantor Jeremy.
And the word Amidah, by the way, Amidah is our main prayer. Amidah, every service, no matter which one it is, it always has the Amidah in it. That's the main one. And the Amidah is the main one because the word Amidah means stand. And we're going to, anything that's really, really important, the really, really big stuff, we stand up for that one. So everybody, time to stand? We stand up for the Amidah?
Yep.
Stand up for the Amidah.
And turn to page 58.
And turn to page 58. Now, are we going to do a silent version of it?
Like we did last time, we're going to do the introduction, and then we're going to, and then Julie, you're going to.
Yeah, we'll do the silent at the end.
We'll
So
do the
let's
silent
do
at
a
the
both
end.
people
Got it.
move
Okay.
down. And then,
Yeah.
So in that case, we can do this first part. It has a very, very special melody that's just for high holidays, and it's one that we should all should all hear. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Eloheinu. We want to do the reading and then
Yeah,
we'll do
let's-
Zohrenu?
Well, actually, we're going to do the reading and then Zachrenu and then Vidui.
Okay.
So if you can join together on page 58 in the English, our God and God of our parents, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, God of Sarah, God of Rebekah, and God of Rachel and Leah. Remember us for a good life. You are our ruler who loves life. Write us in the book of life. You are our God, the God of life.
Zohrenu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chadvenu b'sefer ha'chaim, l'manecha Elohim echayim.
And now we turn to a part of the Amidah that is only done on Yom Kippur, and this is called the Vidui. In the Vidui, we take the opportunity to really say out loud the things that we aren't happy about our behavior in the past year, and to admit those things out loud. And when we admit them out loud, then that gives us the opportunity to not only say it for ourselves, but to say it for everybody else as well. Not everybody is here, and yet we say it for all of our community. So I'm gonna, if you,
Can I add one?
Here you
more
go.
thing
Go
on
ahead,
it?
Cantor Jeremy.
So when we think about it, when we say, "Oh, I'm so sorry about all the terrible things that I've done," it almost sounds like we're supposed to be sad and miserable. But strangely enough, the song that we have for this is one of the happiest, most bright and beautiful songs in the whole service. And there's a reason for that. When we say all the bad things that we do, it's one thing to look at it like, "Oh, I feel kind of bad about it." But also, it's about being forgiven for all of those things. And what does it feel like to be forgiven? Are we miserable because we're forgiven? No, we are thrilled to be forgiven. It's great. It's a load off our backs.
relief.
So we sing this song, we confess all the terrible things we've done, and we say, thank God, I feel so much better. Sounds good?
It's a really good thing you said, because a lot of people do think that about
I know.
Yom Kippur, so thanks for telling us that.
All right, here we go. I hope they know it. If they don't know it, they'll learn it together.
Yep.
Okay. Can we just do that? That's all it is. Just that. Let's do one more time. If you have your machzor, come on, we can do the first. We'll read together on page 60. We have missed the mark on purpose. We have missed the mark by accident. We have missed the mark by not caring. Everybody together. We have missed the mark by using words carelessly. Beat your chest when we do it. We have missed the mark by being sneaky. We have missed the mark by using words to hurt. We have missed the mark by hurting others. We have missed the mark by lying. We have missed the mark by not respecting parents and teachers. We have missed the mark by not stopping ourselves from doing something we really wanted, even when we knew it was wrong. Oh, I feel better now.
So why don't we all take a seat? So we use that phrase a lot, miss the mark. So miss the mark is a translation of the term chet, and chet is the Hebrew word that we use for sin or a bad thing that we do. And it's actually a term that comes from archery. You might have noticed in your machzor that there's a picture of somebody holding a bow and arrow, and you might be curious as to why. That's why. It's a term that comes from archery. If you imagine archery, there's a target that we want to hit, but we don't always make it, right? We don't always manage to hit that bullseye right where we want to in our behaviors too, in our lives. Sometimes we miss it just a little bit. And that's what we want to reflect on. How did we miss our target a little bit this past year? And how can we do better for next year? And so you may have noticed that we use the word we a lot. We miss the mark by doing this or by not doing that. Except that you may be thinking to yourself, except that I didn't really do that this past year. I was actually pretty good about that. But the reason we say we is because we do this together as a community. We don't want to single anybody out, and we want to be there for each other to take responsibility for each other and to support each other. And that's why this whole section is in the plural. It's in the we, because we do all of this together. We come together as a community to try to help ourselves and each other be better people this coming year. So we're going to take a moment of silent reflection right now. And what we want you to do is think about, where did you miss the mark? What is something that you want to improve on, do better at for this coming year? And so you can think about it quietly by yourself, or you can take a moment and kind of talk to your family. Talk to your parents, everybody who's sitting around you, and you can have a little family chat. How is it that we want to be better next year? Let's take a few minutes. Go ahead.
Shalom bimroma, shalom aleinu.
Page 71.
Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'iru amen. Oseh shalom bimroma. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Beautiful. And now it's time to move over to the Torah service. We're going to introduce the Torah service. This week we have Dr. Jordan Vernon reading for us. And if you recall from last time, the way we took out the Torah, we're going to remove the Torah once again, and we are going to walk around with it. And when I walked around with it last week, you all remembered that you take your machzor, or you can use your hand, it's fine too. Or if you're wearing a talit, you can do that. And you can touch and kiss the Torah while we're walking around with it. Because then Jeremy's going to sing the introduction. Mark's going to take out the Torah. If everyone please stand up.
Vayehi binso Aaron, vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, veyafutzu oivecha, veyanusu misanecha, mipanecha, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah.
And see how we carry the Torah around the congregation because we want everybody to feel close to the Torah, everybody to have that personal connection to it. Take off this beautiful silver decoration. And for our Aliyah to the Torah, we have two people who are going to come up and do the Aliyah on behalf of all of the kids in the room. Now that the Torah is down on the table, everyone may be seated. Calling up Jamie and Maddie, who are going to come up and read the brachot to the Torah for the Torah Aliyah. See how nice it is to do things together? This is just what Julie was talking about. In a community, you support each other. They were both like, can I go with her? Can I go with her? Yes, you can go together.
Baruch et Adonai Hambora.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacher banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torto. Baruch et Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe acharei mot shnei bnei Aharon v'karatam lifnei Adonai ve'yamutu. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe daber el Aharon achicha ve'el yavo bechol eit el hakodesh mi beit laparochet el pnei hakaporet asher Aharon velo yamut ki ve'anan Erael hakaporet וזאת יבוא הרון אל הקודש בפר בן בקר לחטאת ואילי עולה כתונת בד קודש ילבש ומכנסי בד יהיו על בשרו וביבנת בד יחקור ובמצפת בד יצנוק בידי קודש הם ורחץ במים את בשרו ושם ומאת הדת בני ישראל ייקח שני סירי עזים לחטאת ואל אחד לעולה והקריב אהרון את פר החטאת אשר לו וכיפר בידו וביד ביתו. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata batoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Thank you, girls. So you have a few things I have to say before you can go sit down. You can go sit down. They're like, please don't embarrass me. These are two examples of students who have come through the Hebrew school and who have learned their bat mitzvah. They've each come to the Torah and read their own parsha and done their own bat mitzvah. And now that they have done that, they are people we can now call upon. When they walked in the room today, I just went up to them and said, could you help us? Could you do the Aliyah? And they remember because they learned it. And that is why we have a bar or bat mitzvah, so that later we are counted as part of a community and we can count on each other. So I know that now that they know that, they can be called upon at any time. That's the real meaning behind having a bar or bat mitzvah on the bima. It's showing your congregation and your community that you're a grown-up now, and you can do the grown-up things that they need you to do, or that they do as well. Before we move on from the Torah, before we put the Torah away, I don't know if anybody noticed, but the sound, the way that Jordan was reading the Torah, did it sound a little different to you than it normally does on a Shabbat?
It definitely sounded totally, completely different than it normally sounds on Shabbat.
And why is that, Cantor Jeremy? But this time I'm putting you on the spot. He loves to put us on the spot. This time. Why is it different, Cantor Jeremy?
Because there are actually 6 different ways to read it. And a lot of people don't know about it. There are 6 different melodies that we use for sacred texts from Torah. And we have one that we normally do every Shabbat, no problem. That's then there's the one that our B'nai Mitzvah often learn. That's number 2 that they learn for the Haftarah. Then there's one for Eicha. There's one for Megillat Ruth. There's one for Shir Shirim. There's one for
Esther?
For Megillat Esther. And then there is one for High Holidays.
That was the special tune that you heard. First of all, I don't know how he has this much energy, honestly. I've just been sitting listening to him all day, and I haven't eaten or had anything to drink or had any coffee. And so I don't know how he's doing that. But anyway, so Jordan learned this, and she reads the Torah. She reads Torah for us every year on Yom Kippur, and it's a really difficult thing to do. So now's the part where we get to brag a little bit, because her father came over to me and said, "You can tell him that she's my daughter. She's our daughter." So we're very, very proud of Jordan. And if it's something that you like to do, it's a talent. Some people have it. And if you find that when you're studying for your bar bat mitzvah that you have that talent, you should let us know. Because we always need people who can read Torah and who can count on to do the Torah services for us. So we're now going to lift the Torah and dress the Torah, and we're going to sing a special tune that we sing. If you remember, we talked about it last time, where we pick up our pinky and we hold it up to the Torah while it's in the air, and we sing V'zot HaTorah. And Cantor Jeremy will lead us in that.
Ready.
We need a Hagba. Hagba?
Yeah.
Hagba is the person that lifts the Torah. Mark's going to do Hagba for us, even though it might hurt his back a little. The Torah is pretty even, though, right?
That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
I feel like I could do it.
V'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe minei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. La 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 la. Ashiveinu Hashem Eilecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yameinu Kekeden. Ashiveinu Hashem Eilecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yameinu Kekeden. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Eitz Chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomecheha meushar derafeha darchei noam
be seated. Thank you, everybody. So today is Yom Kippur, and many people think that on Yom Kippur is the most important holiday, Jewish holiday. Raise your hand if you agree that Yom Kippur is the most important Jewish holiday. Few hands are up, okay. Well, one of the ways we check to see what makes a holiday important is by how many Aliyot to the Torah we read. So Jamie and Maddie came up and they did the first Aliyah. But on Yom Kippur we normally do, does anybody know how many we normally do? How many do we do?
6.
We do 6 on Yom Kippur. On a weekday, on a Monday or a Thursday morning, we do how many Aliyot to the Torah, Mark?
3.
3. So that tells me that a weekday is less important than Yom Kippur. Is that fair, do you think? Sure. Yeah. And then if we have a Rosh Chodesh, that's a special holiday. That's like the first of the month.
That's 4.
That's 4. So that tells me that that's a holiday that's a little more important. And then when we have like Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, Shavuot, Shmini Atzeret, other Chagim, we have how many?
Oh, they know. Hang on.
Oh, they know?
We've said 6. We've said 3. We've said 4.
What do you think? 5. Right, 5. So on Rosh Hashanah we did 5. But I didn't mention when we usually read Torah, when we have our bar and bat mitzvahs often, on a Shabbat morning. Do you know how many we read on a Shabbat morning? That's when we read, Mason? This many. 7, that's right. So Shabbat actually is higher than all of the other Chagim. So when people are very, very observant on Yom Kippur, I always remind people that when you're making your resolutions about how you're going to be, better or different or observe more this year, start with Shabbat. Start with Shabbat, Saturday, Friday night. That's the time when you could start doing one new thing this year that maybe your family wasn't doing before. Maybe you weren't lighting candles. Start. Maybe you weren't having kiddush and having a challah so you could make hamatzi. Start. Very easy to do. Maybe you could put your video games away for part of the day. Maybe you could make some resolutions to start with Shabbat. Because although we come to shul on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur because we're really used to those being super important days, which they are. They're called the Yamim Noraim. They're very important. Shabbat is the place where we practice our Judaism every single week. So that's just my little suggestion for you all. Now, before we finish off, Julie has a great song for us, and I have a little demonstration to do for you all. Some of you might remember this demonstration. Some of you might remember it. If you do, then you can be my helpers. So, this little demonstration is about the things in our lives. The things that are important, the things that are kind of important, the things that are not that important. We could sort of rank some of the things in our lives that way, right? Well, when we fill up our lives, let me explain first. These ping pong balls over here represent important things in our lives. This one says Zadie. This one says uncle, cousin, community, brother, sister, family, mom, dad, God, ourselves. These are all the very, very important things in life. The rice in this jar represents all the other stuff in our life, and we have a lot of it. We have school, we have video games, we have hockey, we have dance, we have all that time we spend playing on tablets and phones and watching movies, and it's all fun stuff. It's all great stuff. So, but if we fill up our lives with all of that stuff, and we spend all of our time filling up our lives with it, when we go to put in the important things in our lives, what do we notice? There's no room. I can't fit them in. Well, that's no way to live a life. Without our important people, without our important things that we value, that we think are priorities. So what I want to remind you is before you put all of these things in, be sure to put in the important things first. If I put in all the important things, does that mean I won't have any room for video games and TV watching and talking to my friends and hanging out outside? Is that going to happen? Will I have no room for any of those things? What do you guys think? Will there be room for those? But I'm filling this all up with all these big balls. So what?
There's gaps in between them.
There are gaps in between, you're right. So as long as I've got the important things in, my life is good. I've got them all in. Now, there's plenty of room for all that other stuff. The important thing is to do it all in the right order. And make sure that you put first the important things. Ooh, maybe there won't be room for all of it. That's okay. I'd much rather have less of this than less of those important things, right? So try to remember that when you're making those decisions for the coming year.
And speaking of the coming year, Cindy mentioned at the very beginning of the service that on Yom Kippur we wish each other Gemar Chatima Tova. Can you say that with me? Gemar Chatima Tova. One more time, just to make sure we really got those words. Gemar Chatima Tova. Good. And so that means may you be sealed for good. So we believe that God basically has a book. And in it, God stamps all of our names. And so we want to make sure that God puts a stamp in that book and says, yes, we are all going to have a great year. We're going to have a good year or a year of goodness. And so that's what we wish each other on Yom Kippur, Gemar Chatima Tova. So we have a song that's going to help us wish each other all these wonderful things. So here's the chorus. It sounds like this. May you be sealed for a good year, for a sweet year, for a healthy year. May you be written in the book of life. Gemar Chatima Tova. Gemar Chatima Tova. So I'm going to teach that to you so we can sing it all together. Here's the first part. May you be sealed for a good year. Try that with me. May you be sealed for a good year, for a sweet year. Try that. For a sweet year, for a healthy year. Try it. For a healthy year. May you be written in the book of life. May you be written in the book of life. Gemar Chatima Tova. Try it. Gemar Chatima Tova. Gemar Chatima Tova. Try that. Gemar Chatima Tova. Let's put it all together from the beginning. May you be sealed for a good year, for a sweet year, for a healthy year. May you be written in the book of life. Gemar Chatima Tova. Gemar Chatima Tova. Beautiful. So I'm going to sing the verses and then you join me for the chorus. A holy day, a solemn day, a day to set aside on Yom HaKippurim. From our sins we will not hide. Let's sing together. May you be sealed for a good year.
For a sweet year.
For a sweet year. A healthy year. For a healthy year. May you be written in the book of life. Gemar Chatima Tova. Gemar Chatima Tova. We make amends to others for the wrongs that we have done. Then we ask God for forgiveness, yet we face the Holy One. Let's sing together.
Good year.
May you be sealed for a good year, for a sweet year, for a healthy year. May you be written in the book of life. Gemar Chatima Tova. Gemar Chatima Tova. When day turns into night, the final shofar blast we hear. As the book of life is closed, we pray for a good and peaceful year. May you for a good year, for a sweet year, for a healthy year. May you be written in the book of life. Gemar Chatima Tova. Gemar Chatima Tova.
So pretty. So we're coming to the end of our service, and as Julie just sang in this song, she said, when day turns into night, the final shofar blast we hear. At the very end of Yom Kippur, in a service called Ne'ilah, which is the end of Yom Kippur, that is when we come back to shul and we finish off our prayers. We want to take every minute we can on Yom Kippur, get every opportunity to pray and to repent for what we have, for our sins and for our plans for the coming year. So before we do the shofar blast, which is what ends it all, when we hear that shofar blast, we know that, well, in our family, honey cake is coming. That's how we break our fast. I don't know how everybody else does. And I keep mentioning this word fast. I don't know if your parents have talked to you about it or not, and I don't know how many of you have been involved in fasting. But just before we go, be nice to your parents. Be nice to your parents. There's no coffee on Yom Kippur. When there's no coffee for parents, that's a very difficult time. You need to understand this very carefully. Now, some kids sometimes decide that they're going to fast as well. It's actually not for children to fast. You're not supposed to fast until your body is big enough and can handle it. And so it's absolutely fine for kids to be eating on Yom Kippur. You don't have to do that. But as you're getting a little older and closer to bar and bat mitzvah, it's not a bad idea to start practicing a little, see how it feels, because after your bar and bat mitzvah, you are expected to fast for the day. And so when my kids were little, what we would do is they didn't fast, but we did avoid having treats. That was our Yom Kippur. That was how we sacrificed a little on Yom Kippur. And that's just probably too late for me to tell you all this, but that's how we would do it. So kids, be nice. Please be nice. They probably have a headache. Be nice. So if you brought your shofar, oh yes, honey.
I fasted till lunch.
Did you
That's
really?
really good.
That's very
That's
good.
really, really good.
And then you ate. Good job. Good job.
Fantastic.
Yes, honey.
I have my shofar in the car.
You have your shofar in the car. Okay, so when we go home, you can blow it. Okay, at 7:34 tonight, exactly 7:34, the fast ends. The big shofar sound comes around.
Somebody say big shofar.
So at 7:34, blow your shofar. Okay, make sure you check the time. Okay, so if you brought your shofar, come on up. We had a couple of people who brought their shofar up. If you're comfortable, you don't have to, but if you want to, come on up. Come stand with Kendra Jeremy. And this is a tradition that we do. Oh, you have a real one. You have a real shofar.
Oh my goodness.
Why do we do this? Why does everybody come with their shofar at the end of Ne'ilah? Is that so that the sound is as big as possible? Is that so that we can be a whole community?
I think it's just a thing.
It's
Just a thing.
Sometimes people will stand in every corner.
Yeah,
of the
nothing wrong with more
sanctuary
shofars.
to make sure we all hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Blow your shofar. You can take your mask off. If
Dolby
it's okay with you
stereo.
guys.
Sometimes
Tell everybody.
it takes a little
Because you don't
Oh,
just
yeah.
go, right? What do you have to do?
bit into it.
Spit into it.
All right, you ready? We're gonna do this. All right,
Should I
someone
call
do
Tekiah?
yeah, maybe someone do Tekiah Gedola. Here we go.
Tekiah Gedola.
Hey, nicely done.
You all turned the same exact color. Well done.
Good stuff. That is not easy to do.
Do it again, okay?
Oh,
All right.
wow.
Sit down.
I'm impressed.
All right, so thank you everybody for coming. Of course, if you're interested, our Hebrew school is fantastic. As the people who are in our Hebrew school will attest, Julie is now our director of education and she runs a fantastic program. So if you are interested, please be in touch with us, and you have all of our information, and you have the flyer in your gift bags from Rosh Hashanah.
And next week's Sukkot.
Next week's Sukkot, do you want to tell them about the program?
Well, we'll be getting together to celebrate Sukkot. So we'll eat in the sukkah, we'll make some crafts, we'll shake the lulav and etrog. So on Wednesday from 5:30 to 7:30 next week.
It's like Jewish camping.
Yes.
So Mar Chatima Tova, everybody. May you have a good and a sweet year. We look forward to seeing you at other programming during the year and also, of course, back next year. You can leave your Machzorim right on your chairs.
Mar Chatima Tova,
Mar Chatima
everybody.
Tova.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.